Welcome everyone to Ask an Event Pro. I'm Mike Riley here at Events.com, and this is a series that helps event directors throughout the world try to improve and make their events a lot better. We are very happy to have on the line with us today Craig Crossley. Craig is the Chief Operating Officer of Color Fun Fest. Welcome, Craig.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's fantastic having you, and it's amazing how through the years when you put on events and you talk to event directors, it never seems to get any easier, does it?
Let me tell you, I think every quarter we have to go back to our strategic planning and reassess things based on what the landscape is, and it's a really interesting time right now in the business.
Well, we're going to talk about designing a successful event experience, and in doing that, I've got quite a few questions here, so why don't we jump right into them?
Cool. Great.
So when you take a look at Color Fun Fest, you've got that theme, but only one, and you combine color, fun, and show. And when you created that theme, you wanted to set yourself apart and be different than the rest of the pack, didn't you?
Absolutely. I have to tell you, our owner, Jamie Liebert, he developed this whole thing. It's his brainchild, and I'll tell you, he's done an amazing job at creating a vision that allows people to come out and really kind of explore the best of all worlds. I mean, one of the things that we really try to capitalize on is making sure that we're a family-friendly event, but that we can provide an experience that relates to everyone in our group set. So that could be mothers and families, that could be fitness runners, or that could even be younger, more sort of teens and young adults. Everybody can come out and have a good time based on how we structured the event. But the overall that Jamie really concentrates on is making sure that we provide a fundamental experience that everybody has a good time with.
I love it. So what's the digital tool that you can't live without today?
Oh my goodness, my iPhone. Yeah, my iPhone. I couldn't. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, and my wife is looking at me going, "Really, your iPhone?" That's one of those things that I just couldn't see myself without throughout my day. It was funny. My son is now 19 years old and in college, and he can't even fathom the days when we didn't have a cell phone. So when we go somewhere and he doesn't get good cell phone reception or the Wi-Fi doesn't work, I say, "Really? Look at where we were with this device 10 years ago."
Well, you probably didn't. Yeah, you didn't realize 10 years ago. Heck, a lot of us didn't realize 5 years ago how much that device was going to be influential with your business as it is today.
Absolutely. It gives us access to information at the drop of a dime that we would not have ordinarily had. Never mind the fact that I can go on and do certain work activities, but now to know with the same device, especially with some of the applications and some of the things that you guys are working on, to be able to use this device as one of the primary devices for our events, whether it's checking people in, whether it's looking up information, there's no way that I could ever dream of being without this device.
How'd we ever do it before? You just can't figure it out. You touched on it a little earlier in your opening about, obviously you know who that demographic is that comes to Color Fun Fest, but you wanted to create something bigger. You wanted to make sure that mom and dad would bring the young ones, or a brother would bring sister, or the uncle would bring the little nephew, and you've created that. How did you do that in such a short period of time?
Again, for us, it's really making sure that that there's a place for everyone, right? Making sure that when everyone comes there, that they get something out of it that they truly enjoy. So again, for us, making sure that we have areas in our festival that are conducive to kids, making sure that kids can come out, because let's be honest. It's the kids that drive the application of the event, right? It's the kids that see color and excitement and say, "Oh, mommy, I want to go." So what we have to do is, number one, make sure that it's affordable. I mean, that's the market that we're in. Anytime that we're asking people to pay for something, we're putting them to a purchasing decision, and we have to make sure that we provide that experience and that value. So for us, making sure that the kids can come and have a good time is big to us. Making sure that we keep the kids' tickets affordable. One of the biggest concerns that I had coming into this was when you look at kids going to, or families going to, a football game or a basketball game, that's a big ticket item nowadays. or going to an amusement park. And if we can provide that sort of family fun that will allow families to get off of the couch and go do something active and fun together, then quite honestly, we fulfill the mission that Jamie Liebert has with the company.
We're speaking with Craig Crossley, the Chief Operating Officer of Color Fun Fest. And Craig, you know, you never want to be known as a one and done. So how does Color Fun Fest bring people back year after year? What are you doing different that you could help other event directors out there that can have that constituent come back to the event the next year and the next year?
There you go. I mean, for us, it's a couple of things. You know, I approach things a little bit differently, obviously, with my position. I'm very analytics driven in making sure that we understand exactly where we are with our repeat customers, understanding where our numbers are year over year. But then how can we improve on that experience? Because if you've done it one year, you really don't just want to duplicate that experience the next year. So we're constantly evolving the added value that we bring to our events. Again, last year we did a section of our tour that we called Color Carnival, where we actually brought out carnival rides and clowns and things, so it really felt more like a carnival or a fair with a run that went around the outside. So for us, it's constantly being innovative and taking the run to the next level so that people don't come the next year and say, oh, well, it was the same thing I did last year. We want them to keep coming back. And that's just the creative marketing. And Sandra Zanaev, who handles all of our marketing, is really incredible. She does some really cool campaigns that continue to push people to want to attend the events, and we're proud of that.
Do you send out surveys to the participants afterwards to try to get their feedback on that too?
We do, and we try to have some people walking around. I will say, quite honestly, that's something that I don't think we've done an amazing job with. But again, with the help of the tool set that Events.com is providing, we're really looking forward to being able to get a little bit deeper into that so that, again, it translates back to our overall experience.
So, Craig, you're going to, in 2016, have a total of 33 events. And to put events on of your size and magnitude, you have to have a great volunteer base. You just can't do it with the staff that's in your Dallas office. We all know that. So how do you ingrain into that volunteer base your passion and commitment to what you want to have happen on event day? How can you sell that message to them so they portray it and sell it to your participants, because they're out there in front of them more actually than you are?
Absolutely, and if you don't have buy-in from them, and if you don't have the right person, quite honestly, that volunteer that you're saving $10 an hour on is great, but it could do more detriment to the event than anything else, just with the experience that they convey. So I feel like we do a pretty good job vetting out our volunteers. I feel like we have a person by the name of Vernon Cockcroft who handles a lot of our volunteer acquisition, and I think he does a really good job of pitching who we are, what we're looking for, and getting their buy-in for the event. But then I think we do a really good job of organization, making sure that we let people know what is expected of them on the day of the event, whether it's from the experience that they provide their participants down to the tasks that they're expected to complete. And then we don't just leave them to their own devices, right? We have someone that is actually responsible on event day for circulating around and making sure not just that people are doing what we asked them to do, but making sure that they're happy, right? We found that a lot of times it's just people want to be communicated with and people want to know that they're appreciated. It's one thing when you get a lot of these volunteers out and you almost treat them like free labor, but it's another thing when you can bring them out and actually give them the ability to feel like they're a part of the overall event, and that's our key. We want them to feel like a part of Color Fun Fest even for that day.
It's almost like you end up creating that one great big happy family, which everybody walks away with a holiday experience.
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, I mean, that can be just as big as the participants that came to the event going to their office the next day and talking about the fun that they had. If we can get the volunteers talking about how good we were and the fun that they had, then it translates effectively as well.
So, Craig, how is it an advantage for you and your organization to be tied in and to be able to give back to a community through your Just Care More charity program for the at-risk use. I mean, you hear a lot of people saying, oh, I give this much money to charity, or I give this much money, almost like they're doing it because they feel it should be done so people think they're a cool company. But you're doing it for a much different reason.
Yeah, I mean, it's something, again, that's near and dear to our owner's heart. You know, he had his own challenges growing up, and he understands what he can do to inspire kids in all of these local communities so that they do understand. I mean, his motto is, how do you change the world? You just care more. I mean, think about it. If you could just show that you care just 20% more in your daily life, think of the impact that that would have on the people around you. So we make every effort in most of the cities that we go into to go to, whether it's a Boys and Girls Club or a group home, somewhere where our owner, Jamie Liebert, can really use his story to translate to the types of things that kids need to know, that support, that care, that really makes them want to smile and go try something a little bit different. So again, it's something that we don't just preach about, it's something that we really practice, and our intent is by practicing it more and more, it will just become ingrained in who we are as a company.
Yeah, the old adage of practice what you preach and you'll be okay. I've heard that all my life.
You got it. But we do things like we bring the kids out to the event, and they become our color warriors for the day. So if Jamie goes to the Boys and Girls Club, he plays with them, but then all of those kids come out to the event free, and they become our color warriors, and they get to man our color stations and blow our our color blasters as people come through each interval.
Well, Craig, we have a lot of event directors that are in the first year of putting on their events, or you've got a lot out there who are thinking of adding events to what they have, or even starting their very own first event, whether it's in your arena, whether it's another, whether it's running, or whatever it may be. From your experience on how you've been doing what you've been doing and successful at, what piece of advice would you give them that could really help them on their way from that get-go? Because you know how tough it is to start any business. What advice would you give them?
Well, and I'll say, I approach it from more of a traditional and corporate mentality. So the things that I look for might be a little bit different, but I tell people all the time, it's all about having a solid plan. I mean, it's really easy to say, yep, I want to throw a run, or I want to do these things, but especially, and I'm sure everybody knows, when you're in this business, there are so many issues that you have to deal with on the landscape, as I said earlier, not just on a yearly basis, but almost like on a quarterly or monthly basis. You almost have to reevaluate. So unless you have a solid plan in place that you can rely on, that really provides your roadmap, then you end up flailing around as you get deeper into problems. So our plans have contingencies, and our plans we've thought through every iteration of what could and should and might happen, so that we're prepared for it. What I've seen previously is that things that maybe we should have known had we done a little bit more due diligence and research would not have become as big of an issue had we been prepared for them. Whether that's competitors, whether that's equipment, whether that's certain issues with venues, that becomes the biggest thing. It's really just making sure that we are as thorough in our planning process as we can possibly be, and then stay disciplined to that. It's really easy to say, oh, let's throw some more dollars at this event to make this happen, but that compounds itself. So it's really staying disciplined to what our corporate philosophy and plan is.
Yeah, one of my last questions, Craig, is you mentioned it, is competition, and obviously there's competition everywhere, and competition can make you stronger, or it can make you weaker. It's however you want to look at it. And there is a competitive landscape in your business. How do you deal with that on a regional and then a national basis?
Well, a couple of different things. Our biggest concern is providing that experience. We feel like we provide one solid experience for our day run and our night run and a few other things that we do. So while we look at the competitive landscape and we understand where everybody is going and what they're doing, our belief is that if we hold true to our philosophy of presenting a great event with a tremendous experience, then we're being true to ourselves, right? Part of what I've seen in the industry over the past few years is that people run where they think the excitement is. I think that, the jump out of the hot air balloon race is going to be the next thing. So I go out and I try to buy a bunch of hot air balloons and I try to get in on that market. But because that's not who I am, it doesn't successfully translate. The events that we produce are who we are as a company. So from our festivals with our cool music to, Jamie and the way he presents on stage, the things we do with our nonprofit. And again, we don't do everything right. We're gonna miss the mark on some of the things that we do, but our attempt is to go out there again and be true to who we are in this space and presenting the types of events that we feel good about and best represent us as a company.
Well, that is one heck of a motto, because if you are true to yourself and true to your passion, you don't have to worry about your competition. Your competition is then worrying about you.
You got it. You got it. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, Craig, I tell you what, this has been fantastic. We know you're a very, very busy man. You've got a big race series you're putting on, and we know the passion that Jamie has. So we'd like to thank you and thank him for being a part of Events.com, and wish you the best of luck in 2016, Craig.
Thank you so much, Mike. I really appreciate you guys letting me be a part of this.
All right, Craig Crossley, the Chief Operating Officer of Color Fun Fest. Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Great. Thank you.